God bless everybody. Today it's March 8th of 2024. This is a parable of the fig tree and paradigm update. We are now into March 8th. We got Ramadan starting on March 10th. We have that possible attack by Hezbollah that they've been now green lighted by Iran. So I'm trying to keep you guys updated the best I can. I've redone the chart a little bit. I've added some additional information and made sure that it's as correct as I possibly can make it. So let's get into this right away, and I'll show you what I've done. So you can always find my information on endofdaysurvival.com. It's a free Wix site. What we're doing today is we're coming down the page to this 5th PDF. We're clicking on that and we're using that specific Psalm 90:10 chart. I've updated it here and I need to come and do the videos, but I'll get to that in the next few days. So click on this chart and we'll take you there and show you what I've done. So what we're going to look at is this area between the beginning of the chart here and this April 20th date prior to the 1260 days that runs all the way from April 20th of 2024, which is Hitler's birthday. Those 1260 days run to October 2nd of 2023, and I'll state this now because we're here at this point in the chart. Today is the 1303 days. So what I mean by that is if you go from October 2nd of 2027 back 1303 days, that would take you to March 8th. Why is that important? Because in my calendar, and you may not agree with this, rapture, at least in my opinion, happens on October 2nd of 2027 during that sabbatical Saturday on the Feast of Trumpets. That would be the last trumpet, the 7th trumpet, and you can find that in 1 Thessalonians 4 where it talks about Michael's voice is sounding and the Lord comes back through the clouds on the last trumpet. That's what he's talking about there. You can also go to Revelation 15:1 and 2 and see that event occurring there also. So we're going to zoom in and start on this end of the chart and work our way through here. This shouldn't be a very long video, so hopefully we can get through this. So I want to make these changes. I want to update it. I'm always keeping you guys abreast, and I like to have the charts as perfect as possible. And so we're at the end of the chart on the left hand side. Basically what I've done here is I've added those 4 solar eclipses that run basically from August 21st of 2017, and those 4 eclipses run all the way through April 8th of 2024. This will be the 4th one here. I'm going to show you all 4 of them as we go through this chart. So let's bring it back. So these 4 eclipses, solar eclipses, occur in a 7-year gap between 2017 and 2024, and so it's extremely important, especially that April 8th one, because I believe that might be a 6th seal event that's coming up in the next month. Actually, in a month, think about that, in a month, you're down to 30 days on that April 8th, between March 8th today and April 8th, and so you're down to about a month before that event occurs. And so if that is a 6th seal event, then we need to start really understanding what's going on here. So let's look at what I've done, and if you follow the chart, this won't be too hard for you to pick up the changes. So on I've added this original first eclipse. That's a August 21st of 2017. Now this is a total solar eclipse. There's 2 total solar and 2 annular eclipses as we walk through this chart that we need to be aware of. So I indicated that this is the first of 4 solar eclipses. You have 4 eclipses through this period of time. I just wanted to clarify that. Um, and then, like I said, on October 6th of 2019, the Trump administration ordered American troops to withdraw from northeastern Syria. That allowed Turkey to fill the vacuum. They invaded through Operation Peace Spring against the Kurds on October 9th of 2019. That took into Yom Kippur, and I believe that is, in my opinion, when the White Horseman was released, because just after that we started seeing the reports of COVID coming out. In October of 2019, through that province in China. And then what happened? We saw at the very beginning of the year, last day of basically 2019 as you go into 2020, the World Health Organization came out and basically said COVID was a global pandemic. And so you're starting into the seals and sorrow's birth pains, okay? So now we had this shofar blast. I'd done a couple videos about this. I thought this is extremely important because I thought that because they were doing this and they weren't doing it in the third temple and they were blowing blowing the shofars all over the place, that this would be a warning that we would see the King of the North unleashed, and we're going to see Turkey come into this soon. And so I think he warns us on a lot of levels. When you go into June 10th of 2021, that was the second eclipse. That's an annular eclipse. So that was the second eclipse. Then this June 30th date starts your 2300 days that run all the way back to the Feast of Trumpet, or Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Tabernacles of 27. That starts from October 17th to 2027. The 1200 or the 2300 days would run all the way back to June 30th, so that's where that number comes from. You can find that in Daniel. I believe that's in Daniel 8, 13, and 14 verses. You can see the 2300 days, and this is what that chart's been built off of. Is you have basically the 2300 days, the 1200 or 1290 days, the 1335 days, and the 1260 days, which is the gap between the signing of the treaty and abomination. So these dates matter. You can find those dates in Daniel 8 and 12. When you get into September 7th of 2021, these are just markers. We start a Shemitah cycle between 2021 and 2028. That's September's on both those dates. And so when you go into that strong generation of the Jews, it's extremely important you end your Shemitah cycle in September of 28. And so your strong generation of the Jews would end on May 14th of 2028. And if you look at Psalm 90:10, it tells you all things will happen prior to the strong generation ending. And so if you look at that for what it is, that's why I always take you back to the fall feast of 27, and he has to fulfill the fall feast. So that's why I keep running you back to October of 27, because that's when the fall feasts start, between October 2nd and October 17th. You can see that on the chart here as we go down. I put all these dates on here so you can see them, how they radiate down through here, how they affect these days as you go through the charts. Okay, so all this stuff's out here. I'm constantly updating it so you guys can see it. It's extremely important that you see these dates. Okay, then again, another marker. You have a fall equinox on September 2nd, 22nd, 22. You got Rosh Hashanah here. Let's walk through a couple of these things. You have the end of the first sabbatical year, or the Shemitah cycle, and we start this ramp up into where we are into 23. Okay, so this does matter. Feast of Trumpets ends, and then I indicated, and I always look. God does it a certain way. You have plagues, famines, and things like that first, locusts, stuff like that, and then He always hits them with the sword. And then there's a remnant. So I had indicated in spring of 23 we would start to see famine, locusts, economic destruction, and all these different things, not only in the world, but mainly on Israel. It also takes into Joel 1. Now, this one nobody's talking about, and I think this is probably one of the most important dates on the chart, and that's April 5th. That was when I saw that the continual burnt offerings were being stopped. That matters to your 1290 and 1335 days. That takes you to right before abomination. I'm not going to get into that too much, but that's extremely important that that date has been found, and we can document that on the chart. Okay, really important. To me, that was a huge find, and I don't think anybody realizes exactly that that's happened. I haven't seen anybody else talking about it. So when you get to the September 18th date and this October 7th and 9th date, I have to explain this a little bit, because this is where we went to Daniel 10, and in Daniel 10, 4 and 13, I had shown you that Daniel had had a vision after he was sickened for 3 weeks, and that it mattered because if we converted it from Gregorian dates based on the parable of the fig tree that I talked about and the paradigm of the three modern day kings, that this might matter, and it did, because I did a video a month or two before it actually happened. So I thought that was really cool that he's showing us these really interesting events that might be happening. I think he's showing us a lot more as we move forward here. So on September 18th of 23, Daniel is sickened for 3 weeks, has this vision from God. And then look what happens. So 3 weeks later, or 21 days later, that would be October 9th of 23. So that's why that's here. And Michael would go against Israel, or excuse me, Iran or its proxies. I didn't know at the time. It says Iran or Persia, so I was thinking, Iran, Persia, not Hamas. Anyway, on October 7th of 2023, we saw Hamas attack and invade Israel and did those terrible things through Operation Al-Aqsa flood. So this is through Palestine and Gaza. So I thought it was extremely important that we add that attack date to the paradigm chart here, or the timeline, because I'm giving you my date that I had, but I know that the original date was October 7th, and I keep alluding that October 9th was probably important because it took Israel a couple days to really pull themselves together and then go back into Palestine in Gaza and actually attack. And so that was around October 9th. And so that was, pretty much right on, the button there. So it's really important. Then this October 14th, 2023 is the third of 4 solar eclipses. This is an annual eclipse, and like I say, those all happen between 2017 and 2024. So when you get into this next set of dates in March, between March 10th and 11th, I want to bring this up because this is extremely important. Things are starting to really pop, and we're in March 8th, so we're walking into this time zone right now. This is where you are in time, at least in my opinion. We'll see how this turns out. I think it's extremely important that we keep an eye on what's going on over there right now. So I've adjusted a couple of these dates because I want to make sure they're always proper. And I always go back in history and I look at those dates, and then you've got the dates on today's calendars, and so I'm trying to piece this together the best I can, guys, but I'm trying to use today's date so that we understand what's coming to us maybe now. So if you look at this chart now, I've added a few things here and I've tried to break this down so it makes more sense. And it seems to really flow really well here, guys. So just be watching this. This is going to get crazy in the next month. So March 9th through 11th of 2024, we have to Adair. Now I had indicated that it was on March 23rd. Okay, that's not right. But I still have a March 23rd date here because it matters, and I believe that I was using this date improperly, but it still needs to be here because that's 15 days prior to April 8th, and so it's important. But to Adair is on March 10th, basically, which is interesting because all this other stuff's happening. And is he telling us in history that Jerusalem was getting attacked and there was something happening on this date? Well, it's going to happen possibly in the future because now Iran's been green lighted to go and have Hezbollah go in and actually attack them. And you can go to 2 Kings 24, 1 and 2 and actually see those nations and things that are going to go in and attack Israel. They're all around Lebanon, Golan Heights, and West Bank area. So I changed this. I want to make sure it's right. I'm always, look, that's not about anything I'm trying to manufacture. I'm giving you the best possible dates, and I want to make sure they're right. So March 9th through the 11th, based on how they do in the Hebrew calendars, it's to Adair. In history, Jerusalem falls to Nebuchadnezzar and Jehoiakim. I've talked about how Jehoiakim is captured. That would be the president of Israel. That might be Isaac Herzog. So on this date, still in the parable of the fig tree, guys, in the paradigm of the modern day 3 kings, that hasn't changed. I keep telling you it's going to be a compressed time zone. I can't give you exacts, but I do believe that it will play out from the past to the future. So we possibly could see Isaac Herzog, the president of Israel today, captured on this date, March 10th. We'll see what happens. It may not happen. That's 2 days from now. So, it just may go by and nothing will happen at all. We'll see how this plays out. And he may not get captured on. It may not play out through the modern day king paradigm. But I still say that the parable of the fig tree between now and the strong generation does matter. And so that's extremely important. So we have Ramadan starting. You have potentially an attack by Hezbollah. We don't know if they're going to invade. I say they will. They'll hit them in force. This is the holiest month in the Muslim community throughout the world. It happens between March 10th and April 9th. Okay. We'll probably see Hezbollah launch a major attack from West Bank, Lebanon, Golan Heights into these areas. I put 2 Kings 24, 1 and 2 there so you could see that. And then I believe that this probably because you're bringing together the 10 nations that are going to go against Israel here or in the next month, I believe. I put Iran and both Turkey will probably enter this conflict. Turkey mainly in Syria and Iraq, but they'll be coordinating 10 full nations against Israel against Israel in the next month, because this is Erdogan's the leader of the Muslim community. He's the one that's going to run this. And if you look at the Hezbollah and Hamas, they're not Persians. They're Muslims, and so they're going to follow Erdogan more than they will the Persians or the Iranians. So we have this potential launch of Hezbollah into Israel on March 10th. I believe Iran and Turkey will both potentially get into this. Turkey mainly against the Kurds, because we're still having Daniel 8 in play here. So I indicate in this last little notation that Ezekiel 38 and 39 starts to form. Erdogan starts to unite the Muslim communities together that are going to go against Israel. On March 20th, you have the spring equinox starting. And then look at this. And this is why I left this here. So on March 23rd, I indicate that we would see 10 nations get power for an hour from Gog or Erdogan to attack Jerusalem. And that then you would see that siege occur for 15 days between March 23rd and April 8th. That's extremely important because God gives Erdogan or Gog the ability to give these 10 nations a joined power for 1 hour or 15 days on a biblical calendar. And how I get that is it's 1,000 days of ours to 1 day of God's. If you break that down in the Hebrew calendar, basically 1 hour of God's is 15 days on this planet. So if you take that into conception, you'll realize that between March 23rd and April 8th, it's a 15-day gap. And then you have this last solar eclipse that's happening. Okay, and April 8th is extremely important because you have a whole bunch of cosmic events happening on this date. You have that total solar eclipse over the United States, which then forms that A over the United States, which potentially could be an anarchy sign. We talk about how it crosses two different eclipses in the past, which we're talking about these 4 eclipses. So it crosses over 2 of those other eclipses that we've been talking about, and it forms an A over the whole entirety of the United States. This goes from like Texas through New York and up through there, and so you're going to see this go through. You have a 6 planetary alignment with the sun and moon also aligning. You also have the devil comet coming through, and then I just did a video about how on this date we could potentially see heaven appear above us in that space folding theory. So that could be a real interesting effect that could happen there. And so you have on April 8th just a whole bunch of stuff going on here. But I do believe you'll see a buildup between Ramadan and this Tuadair, which warns us that Israel and Jerusalem is going to get ready to be attacked, or in this case, they were actually under siege and Isaac Herzog's captured, and so that's extremely important that that might happen again. I'm not saying it will, but I've talked about how that could happen for some time now, based on the parable of the fig tree, and mainly the paradigm of the 3 modern day kings that I presented, because those 3 kings of today represent 3 kings of the past that seem to matter today. So you have this April 8th date, and potentially during that 6th seal event, you have those 10 nations of armies that are going against Israel literally destroyed and devastated through the wrath of Jesus or the Lamb. Okay? Ramadan ends just after that, okay, on April 8th or April 9th and 10th, right after April 8th. And so I talked about how if Erdogan would die here, he would be buried within a couple days. You have the burial of the 7 months of armies in the ground. You have the burning of the weapons for up to 7 years. And then you have a 7th seal that breaks, takes you into the 4 trumpets prior to the bottomless pit opening, Antichrist and the false prophet rising. And then on April 20th of this year, assigning it with the Treaty of the Nations for the 1260 days down here. Okay, that you're going to have, that takes you all the way to the to abomination. Okay, so through abomination to the Feast of Trumpets of uh, October 2nd, 2027. So that's extremely important. So this is a really interesting time that we're in, guys. We're potentially a couple days away from an interesting effect here, which possibly would be the sixth seal on April 8th. So I just want you to be aware of this. I've added this to the site. It's updated now. You guys can go out there and pull this off if you want. When you print it off, it's probably going to be pretty small, but you can print this off. It gives you all these additional dates, but look at how this all lines up. It's just crazy. So I'm really concerned that as we walk in the next couple days between March 10th and April 8th, possibly the sixth seal event, as you walk into the signing of the treaty on April 20th, and all these trumpets are going off here too. You got a month between now and this date here, and the sixth seal possibly. So I hope you're getting your oil ready. I hope you're getting everything you need prepared. Making sure you check all your systems, anything you put in place, make sure it works. You've ordered all the parts and pieces to make sure it works properly, that you know how to use it before you actually unbox it, because that's important that you do that. You may unbox it and realize you didn't have an adapter or something, that you're not quite ready. So when you're doing this stuff, pay attention in the next couple days. Everything's breaking out here. The banks are breaking. The markets are breaking. Everything seems really crazy right now. Everything's ramping up, and you need to pay attention as you walk into this April. April's going to be a bad month. I talked about this for some time now, but I do want you to realize that I have updated this. It gives you everything you need to know. It's like having Biff's playbook in your back pocket so you can sort of see what's coming. You're mainly worried about the next couple months for now, and then if we get through that, we'll see where this goes. So will something happen on March 10th through the April 8th? We're going to find out soon, guys. We're going to find out real soon. So be safe out there. Do what's required to put the proper oil in your lamp. Get right with Jesus. And God bless everybody. Have a great day.